Now, this morning, we're talking tourism sustainability in Tobago as we focus on some of their initiatives. And this morning, we are joined by Director of Product Development and Destination Management at the Tourism Tobago Agency Limited, Mr. Wendell Walker. Mr. Walker, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on Now.
Hi, good morning, Kimberly, and good morning to all your viewers.
Of course. Mr. Walker, before we begin our conversation, just give us an overview of the Tobago Tourism Agency, the mandate of the agency, and how it's achieving those objectives.
Okay, so the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited is charged with the marketing and promotion of Destination Tobago. So we look at all the different attractions and aspects that Tobago provides. We have four pillars that we use basically to promote the island. So it's seas and beaches, romance and weddings, culture, eco-adventure, and people, tourism, and culture. So those are the four pillars that we market the destination under.
Yeah. And as Director of the Product Development and Destination Management Unit, can you also give us an overview of your role?
Sorry,
Mr.
Kimberly, could you repeat?
Sure. As Director of the Department of the Product Development and Destination Management Department, can you give us an overview of your role?
Okay, so as director, product relates to all the different attractions that you have in your destination. So from accommodation, sites and attractions such as forts, activities that you could do, so like the Heritage Festival, anything that attracts people to the island could fall under your product.
Yeah.
So our role basically would be to look at all the different aspects that we have in Tobago, from culture, all the different communities, and the different events that they would have, as well as seas and beaches, diving, snorkeling, working with the different tour operators, hotels, supporting the accommodation sector through different grants and accommodation upgrade programs. So basically, it's looking at all the stakeholders in all the different sectors in the tourism area.
Yeah. One of the focus that you mentioned there was on community, and I understand that there's a community-based tourism project that's taking place. Can you shed some light on that and also some of the other sustainability initiatives that the Tobago agency would undertake?
Okay, so we had through the Caribbean Tourism Organization, we recently, last month, we had a webinar on community-based tourism. So we looked at two toolkits coming out of the CTO, where we looked at different communities. So one of them would have been a tourism asset inventory. So you look at the community and look at all the different things that they have that could be refined to be accessible to tourists. So for instance, if you look at Buku, they have the Buku Reef, they have the Nylon Pool. If you look at Castara, they have a waterfall. There's a reef close by. So different areas might have forts or sugar mills, anything that you could use to have different visitors come to the island or be interested in terms of accommodating them and having an attraction. So harvest, for instance, is very popular, and that is one thing that we're looking at. We recently had a series of harvest focus groups, so that each village in Tobago has a harvest, and harvest is a wonderful event where the villagers cook and they just welcome friends as well as visitors to partake in the meal. So there's a lot of community-based action around it. And it's something that we actually looking at building out. So different communities can have areas around their harvest. So rather than come in just for one day for the harvest, you could go to a village, visit a waterfall, take part in another event, and
Yeah.
then stay for the actual day of the harvest.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that we're looking at in terms of the community
And as we
based
come out of
tourism.
the
And
community and we focus on the island itself, can you share some more examples of that as well?
sorry, Kimberly, could you repeat?
Sure. As we come out of the community in terms of the sustainability initiatives, can you share a few other projects that the agency is working on?
Okay, so we have a plant a tree initiative, which is upcoming on September the 28th. And it's in collaboration with a number of groups. Environment Tobago is one, the Tobago Reforestation and Watershed Rehabilitation Program. And we're also including schools. So the eco and tourism groups in the secondary schools, we are working with them. So on September 28th, we'll be planting a number of trees in different areas. We still haven't selected all the areas, but it'll be in the eastern part of Tobago. So some of these schools we're working at, there are two so far: Signal Hill Secondary, as well as Speyside High.
Nice. And there's also something about the bench with the plastics, if I'm not mistaken. Share about that one as
Right,
well.
right. So this is a program that we started with collaboration again with Flying Tree Environmental Management and the Roxborough Youth Club Upcycling Center, so that they use plastic material and they make lumber. There's a process where they shed the plastic material. There's a mold, and they make lengths of lumber, and it's cut into different sizes. So, as part of our Blue Flag program, environmental program, we have three pilot beaches in Tobago: Kings Bay, Mount Irvin, and Bloody Bay. So as part of the initiative, we did a picnic bench for World Environment Day, as well as a park bench, both at Mount Irvin. And one of the benches was made from 30,000 plastic bottles. So you can imagine the effect of that, taking that plastic out of going to the landfill or ended up on the beaches or in the rivers. So we are continuing that collaboration with Flying Tree, and we intend later this month to have a plastic bench, plastic lumber bench, as well as a bin placed at the Pigeon Point Heritage Park. So again, it symbolizes, taking care of the environment and ensuring that plastic doesn't end up, in places that it should.
Yeah. I understand there's also a Blue Flag National Operators meeting that's coming up as well at the end of October. Can you share some details on that one?
Okay, so Blue Flag is a program under FEE, the Foundation for Environmental Education, and they're based in Finland. So there are over 4,000 Blue Flag sites around the world in different countries. Tobago, as I mentioned before, has three pilot beaches, but we also have two charter boats. So the Blue Flag program deals with environmental and sustainable practices, education, um, so that we have the two boats, as I mentioned, the Top Catch as well as Miss Ayana, who receive Blue Flag certification, so that we have a number of programs under that Blue Flag Blue Flag initiative.
Nice. Now, I understand, Mr. Walker, the initiatives that's taking place and, the sort of activities that are also happening around the island. But for the average citizen who also wants to be part of that sort of responsible tourism and maintaining the environment, how can they themselves get involved?
Okay, so one of the initiatives, as I mentioned before, is the planetary program that we have coming up. But we also partner with a number of recycling, well, the main recycling agency, Tobago Recycling Waste Limited, so that there are a number of bins that they have around the island. So
Right.
we actually encourage people to use those bins, and it's actually recycled. The actual material is actually recycled at their plant at Shore Park. So we actually encourage people to use those bins and take part in that recycling initiative. We're also working with the schools, so that under the Blue Flag program, we had a number of schools taking part in that initiative. So we actually, for the demonstration that we had at Mount Irving Beach, we actually encouraged schools from the area to collect their plastics. So Flying Tree Environmental Management brought up a machine that actually shredded the plastic so that they could see the process and appreciate that they didn't have to just throw their plastics away. If they collected it, it could be used and transform into something as a bench that could be something useful. So
Yeah.
we're working with the schools to start that public awareness and education program from young.
Yeah. I like that you mentioned that public awareness, Mr. Walker, because I know there's so much happening in October, especially in Tobago, as it relates to the Blue Food Festival. We also have Tobago Carnival coming up. Is there any concern from the agency that maybe people may ignore some of the signs to keep their surroundings clean, and they may litter or they may deface property? Any concern from the agency, and anything you want to talk about in terms of putting in place to prevent that from happening?
Okay, so that is again public awareness and consciousness and responsibility. Um, as I mentioned, there's a company that does plastic recycling, and they are very active in terms of placing bins at different venues. So when you have different events, you could actually have a bin placed there so that the plastic isn't just mixed with the regular garbage. So that is one of the areas that we're looking at. But again, it's a constant message in terms of encouraging people to be more responsible, don't litter, and having bins in a number of different areas is one of the ways that we go about encouraging people to recycle their material.
Yeah. And Mr. Walker, I know you would have mentioned a few stakeholders, for example, Flying Tree. Any other stakeholders you wish to mention as the agency continues on the not only the awareness side, but also the sustainability initiatives?
Okay, so we work with Green TNT, and Green TNT is the national operator for the Blue Flag program that I mentioned, but also for the Green Key program. And Green Key, again, is administered by FEE, the Foundation for Environmental Education, based in Finland. And this deals with properties, so that you look at hotels, small guest houses, and we look at safe environmental practices. So they normally do an evaluation of the property, and you look at all the different areas that they are dealing with in terms of sustainability. So recycling, using energy efficient appliances, proper waste management, separation of your waste, using eco-friendly cleaning products, having energy saving lights, low flow toilets, all those different things. So there's a checklist that they use, and they measure the property against it, and they give them time to address some of the gaps that they may have. So far, we have 5 properties that have been certified by Green Key, and it's a program that we like to encourage among the hotels and guest houses on the island, because we have a lot of travelers who are very eco-conscious. They're very concerned about the impact on the environment. And if we have establishments that practice sustainable activities, then they would be more attractive to the visitors who are looking to reduce their carbon footprint when they come to the island.
Yeah. And Mr. Walker, finally, if anyone wants to reach out to the agency, any website, email address, numbers you want to share with us?
Okay, so our corporate page is visittobago.gov. You could also find us on Facebook, on Instagram, and also tobagobeyond.com, which is our website.
Of course. Well, Mr. Walker, let me thank you so much for joining us. Continue with the initiatives that you're doing, and we hope to see more in the future. But for now, thank you so much for joining us on The Now Show.
Thank you for accommodating me. Thank you very much.
Of course. Have a good day. And that was Director of Product Development and Destination Management at the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited, Mr. Wendell Walker, just sharing some of the sustainability initiatives on the island of Tobago. You're on the Now Morning Show. We're going to take a break and be right back. Stay with us.